AITAH for refusing to babysit my niece during my vacation? Every year, I take 1 week off. 1. No meetings, no emails, no alarms. Just me, my books, and a rented Airbnb by the ocean with a balcony that smells like salt and quiet. I don't go to clubs. I don't travel with a group. I don't make Instagrammable memories. I unplug. I heal. And I protect that week like it's sacred. So when my sister Melissa called 3 days before my trip, I didn't think much of it until she said the words, "Hey, could you take Lila with you this week?" Lila, my 5-year-old niece. Sweet, chaotic, extremely energetic. I love her, but not on my vacation. I laughed. Wait, what? Why? She sighed. Our sitter canceled. Kevin's parents are out of town. We were supposed to have a couples trip. If you could just bring her with you, it'd save everything. I paused. Melissa, this is my time. You know how much I need this week. She got quiet. Then she said, "It's just a kid, not a crisis. And she loves you. Come on, you don't even have kids of your own. Isn't this kind of your chance?" That hit harder than it should have. Like my empty womb had suddenly become a family resource. I replied, "I'm sorry, but no. I'm going alone." She hung up without saying goodbye. That night, I got a message from our mom. "Can't believe you're being so selfish. Melissa bends over backwards for you." Then one from our cousin. "Must be nice having no responsibilities." I was stunned. Was I being selfish? Was a peaceful week too much to ask? Still, I went. I read 4 books in 5 days. I didn't set a single alarm. I didn't talk to anyone. Just waves, coffee, sleep, and silence. When I came back, Melissa wasn't speaking to me. Until last week. I came home to a small envelope in my mailbox. Inside, a crayon drawing. Me holding Lila's hand at the beach. Underneath, in Lila's handwriting, Auntie's turn for quiet. Melissa's handwriting on the back. "You were right. I was tired and panicked. I'm sorry for putting that on you. Thank you for loving Lila and yourself enough to say no." I cried. Because boundaries don't always feel good in the moment. They often feel cold, harsh, like betrayal. But later, sometimes they bloom. So, AITAH for refusing to babysit during my only vacation? Maybe in their eyes, for a little while. But peace is precious, and no one else will protect it for you.
AITAH for blocking my mom for constantly criticizing my body? I've had body issues since I was 12. First, it was my thighs, then my stomach, then my arms, and always her voice. "Are you sure you want seconds? Maybe try black, it's slimming. Boys don't like girls who jiggle when they walk." She said it with a smile, always with a smile. Like it was advice, like it was love. By the time I hit 20, my relationship with food was a war. Some days I punished myself with green juice and guilt. Other days I rebelled late-night pizza and whispered shame. Therapy helped. Moving away helped. But the voice? It still lived in me. Last month, I visited home for my cousin's birthday. It had been a while. I'd gained a little weight, soft around the edges, but happy. I wore a floral dress I loved. It hugged my waist and made me feel like spring. Mom's eyes scanned me the second I walked in. "Oh," she said. "You're going for curves now?" I laughed awkwardly. "Yep," I said, "trying something new, self-acceptance." She didn't smile, just pursed her lips. An hour later, she whispered, "You'd be so beautiful if you just lost a little here," tapping her side. "It's a waste, really." That night, I cried in the guest room, quietly, like a habit. Then I opened my phone, scrolled through our texts. So many were just digs in disguise. I didn't reply. I just blocked her. Instagram, messages, even her number. Not out of rage, not to be cruel, but because I'd spent 28 years shrinking under the weight of her words, and I was tired. The fallout came fast. My aunt messaged me. "She's your mother. You can't just cut her off." My sister called me selfish. Even my dad said, "You know she means well, but does it matter what someone means if it still hurts every time?" 2 weeks passed. I didn't unblock her. Then a letter came in the mail. Real paper. Her handwriting delicate and sharp. It said, "I don't understand, but I hear you, and I'm sorry for every time I thought helping was fixing. You don't need fixing. You need freedom, and I'm working on giving that to you. No manipulations, no but, just an apology." I cried again, but it felt different this time. So, AITAH for blocking my mom, for how she talked about my body? Maybe to people who never had to question their worth after every meal. But sometimes, silence is the boundary you set until someone learns how to love you without conditions. And when they do, you can finally start unlearning the voice that never belonged to you in the first place.
AITAH for not letting my partner's kids call me mom? When I met Alex, he was upfront. 2 kids, shared custody, no drama with the ex. I respected that. I dated men with baggage before, but Alex was different kind, steady, emotionally intelligent. His kids, Ellie, 6, and Max, 8, were adorable. Shy at first, but curious. They'd visit every other weekend. At first, I kept my distance, not cold, just cautious. I wasn't trying to be a stepmom. I was just trying to be myself. Over time, things changed. Ellie started drawing me into her crayon family portraits. Max asked me to help with homework. Alex smiled like his whole world was finally clicking into place. And then one day, it happened. We were baking cookies, flour everywhere, laughter. And then Ellie tugged at my sleeve and said, "Mom, can you help me?" I froze. She didn't even notice, just kept stirring batter like nothing had changed. Later, I gently pulled her aside and said, "Sweetheart, I'm not your mom. I'm your dad's friend. You can call me by my name, okay?" She looked confused. Her big eyes blinked once, then twice. "Okay," she whispered, and walked off. That night, Alex asked, "Did something happen with Ellie?" She seemed quiet. I told him. He went still, then said, "You know, she's never called anyone mom since the divorce." My stomach dropped. "She chose that on her own," he added. "I didn't tell her to. I didn't expect it either, but it meant something. To her, to me." I said as gently as I could, "I understand, but it didn't feel right. I'm not her mom. I don't want to blur that line. That's not my place." He nodded, slowly, but I saw that flicker of disappointment. The next weekend, things were different. Ellie avoided me. Max was polite, but distant. I started wondering, was I being too rigid? Too cold? Would it have hurt me to just accept a word she chose from love? But then a week later, I found a note slipped under my bedroom door. It was from Ellie, crayon scroll on lined paper. "Even if you're not my mom, you still feel like family. I like your laugh. I like your hugs. I like your cookies. Sorry if I made you sad." I cried, hard, then baked cookies and wrote her back, "You didn't make me sad. You made me feel special. Let's just keep being us, whatever name that comes with." So, AITAH for not letting them call me mom? Maybe to someone looking in from the outside. But sometimes, protecting boundaries doesn't mean rejecting love, it means redefining it. And love that grows slowly, it lasts. AITAH for turning off my husband's gaming console during dinner? Let me start by saying, I like video games. I'm not some bitter anti-gaming spouse. I've logged more hours in Stardew Valley than I care to admit. I even gifted my husband Mark his PS5 for our anniversary. But lately, it's all he does. He games before work, after work, during weekends, while brushing his teeth. Okay, maybe not that, but it feels like it. And dinner? Dinner has become background noise to whatever mission, match, or raid he's in the middle of. Every night I set the table. Something warm, something homemade, and every night I call out, "Dinner's ready?" And every night I hear, yeah, just one more game." 10 minutes pass. 15. Food gets cold. I eat alone. Last Thursday, I had enough. I made his favorite lemon garlic chicken, lit a candle, even poured wine, called him, like always. "Coming!" he shouted. I waited, watched him through the crack in the door headset on, fingers flying across the controller, eyes locked on the screen like it held the secrets of the universe. So I walked over, pulled the power strip switch, and turned the whole thing off. Silence. He turned to me like I'd unplugged him. "What? The hell?" he said. "Dinner's ready," I replied, calmly. He stared at me. "You know I can't just pause an online match." I stared back. "And you know I've eaten dinner alone for the past 6 nights." He stormed out, slammed the bedroom door, didn't touch the chicken. Later that night, he texted me from across the apartment. "You crossed a line." I replied, "So did you 6 nights in a row?" The next day, my sister said I was overreacting. A coworker laughed and said, "You killed his game? You are the villain." Even Reddit wasn't on my side, I checked. Yes, I went there. But here's the twist. A few days later, I came home to a note on the table. "Dinner, 7 p.m. No console, no headset. Just us." And there he was, apron on, pasta boiling, awkward but trying. We ate, talked. No interruptions, no controller clicks, just forks, wine, and laughter. Like a memory we almost lost. So, AITAH for turning off his console? Maybe in gamer circles. But sometimes love looks like a power button. And sometimes the real win isn't on the screen, it's at the table.
AITAH for leaving my boyfriend's family dinner early without saying goodbye? I don't hate his family. Let's start there. I just don't fit. They're loud. Not in a fun, party kind of way, in a talk over each other, mock you for sport, and call it bonding kind of way. My boyfriend Jake thrives in it. He grew up learning to yell to be heard, laugh at insults, and eat with elbows flying. I grew up in a house where if someone raised their voice, it meant therapy the next day. Still, I tried. Every Sunday dinner for 6 months. The same roast chicken, the same teasing, the same jokes about Jake's quiet little librarian. I'm an editor, by the way. But last weekend, something snapped. We were passing dishes around. Jake's brother Nate asked, loud enough for the whole table to hear, "So when are you going to teach her to be a real woman and cook?" Everyone laughed. I smiled politely, even though my face burned. Jake chuckled too. Not a loud one, but enough. I put down my fork, took a sip of water, said nothing. 10 minutes later, I quietly stood up, walked to the front door, slipped on my shoes, and left. I didn't make a scene, didn't yell, didn't even say goodbye. Jake texted me 15 minutes later. "Where are you?" I replied, "Home. Needed air." He came over that night, pacing, angry. "You embarrassed me. You could have just told me you were uncomfortable." I looked at him. "I have. Every week. And you keep laughing." He said, "It's just how we are. It's not serious. You're too sensitive." I said, "No, I'm just not numb." The next day, his mom called me, said I was disrespectful, immature, that walking out without a word was worse than any joke they'd made. Maybe she's right. Maybe I should have stayed, spoken up, educated them on kindness. But I was tired of explaining why basic respect shouldn't be a teaching moment. Then the twist. A few days later, Nate messaged me, the brother with the cooking joke. Didn't realize that one actually hit a nerve. I was being a jerk. Sorry for that. And sorry you had to be the only adult at the table. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I blocked his number. Not out of spite. Out of peace. So, AITAH for leaving without saying goodbye? Maybe to a family who thinks sarcasm is love and silence is rude. But I decided that night, I'd rather be alone at my table than the punchline at someone else's.